Welcome back to Sports Night. It's time for one of our favorite segments of the year, our Sports Night Superlatives alongside Cenla Preps, Lamar Gafford. We did it last year. A ton of fun being able to recognize some of the best performances and memories we had from the school year.
It definitely was. I got a chance to look back at the ones that we had last year, and it was great fun to do this year. We agreed on a lot of them. We disagreed on a few, but let's see what we can do this year.
And the idea stems from, I know a lot of you out there graduating, they do senior superlatives, so now we give out to those outgoing and some of the current athletes in the area. Let's start with maybe the biggest one, the best category, Team of the Year. Across all our Cenla champions or whatnot, who does your Team of the Year go to?
I might have to go with the Marshfield Tigers basketball team. I mean, this season they took on all comers, and you just felt like that they were going to do something special, especially when Coach Okie Benjamin went over there, and also Armani Benjamin came over there as well with, for playing for them. Just overall, they took a good team that had a chance of winning a championship to a great team of being probably one of the best teams in the state. And not only that, but they also beat two of the biggest brands in Central Louisiana, and Alexandria Senior High and also Peabody, and beat them in their own gym. So I have to give that to them this year.
We've somehow done it again. My Team of the Year also the Marksville boys basketball team. This one might be a little sour for you, but they reminded me a lot of the 2024 Boston Celtics. It is a team that had a ton of pressure and a ton of expectation coming into the year with guys like Devin Laviolette and Armani Benjamin and Dane Small. It was a championship or bust season, whether they thought it or not. They responded with a 27-5 record. They had no consecutive losses. They won by about 20 plus in every playoff game. And even some of the developed players, some of you talked about, a guy like Devon Hayes kind of came out of nowhere and was a really impact player for them. Jaden Price, who we saw as a great football player, made plenty of great plays with basketball. They go on the road and beat Peabody. They have an unbelievable shooting performance against Madison in the championship game. And with all the expectation that they had, they lived up to it and looked like one of the best teams from when the season started in November to when they were lifting up the trophy down in Lake Charles.
And the crazy thing is, I mean, when Dane Small is your third best player, you're cooking with gas because he is a big game player, a big game performer.
Big game Dane.
And definitely he's going to, I'm interested in seeing what his development is going to be in his senior year, because I have a feeling that he's also going to be a signee very, very soon because of the way he played, the way that he stepped up in big games, and also helped them out whenever Devin and Armani, whenever they weren't having their best night, it was always Dane to help out.
Let's see if we agree again. Coaching performance of the year for Cenla Sports. Lamar, who is yours?
Coach Charles Smith.
Okay.
Coach Charles Smith. I think he had the best performance this season. He had to take over a young team that only had two seniors and also a couple of big-time freshmen here, and really get them to get to the championship. And they definitely did that this season. So I have to give that to Coach Charles Smith, the Hall of Famer is what we call him and everything. And just this season, getting a chance to see them beat teams like Ruston, Washington, Marion, and then also Northside went to win the championship. I mean, that definitely says a lot there.
Corey Blake, their star freshman. J.D. Holden, another freshman. They're going to bring back a lot of guys next year. Charles Smith, now an 11-time state champion. Also, of course, condolences to his family losing his wife, Rosa, in the last couple of months. An emotional time for them, but love to honor the legend, Charles Smith. My coaching performance of the year, Pineville softball coach Allison Fry leading the Lady Rebels to their first state championship in 28 years. They went 30-9. I think the best thing for them was a 4-game losing streak they had somewhere in the middle of this season. A lot of those games in district play, they responded with that, going 17-3 down the stretch, and of course outscoring their opponents 52-5 in the playoffs. They lose in the quarterfinals the year before at home to Chappelle. They make a couple of changes in the program. She talked about it, improving strength and conditioning. And then also a lot with team camaraderie, team bus to and from every away game, trying to form that chemistry. And when you have, 9 hitters going down the order, dominating the state playoffs, that's the payoff.
And I think you have to also give that to her too, because she has a great eye for talent and a great development of talent as well. And you have that team that, just 1 through 9, they could perform at all times there. When your 9 hitter is hitting a home run in the state championship game, that definitely tells you right there you're cooking with gas at that point. So I also have to tip my cap off to Coach Allison for that one as well, because she's been wanting this one for a long time.
For her alma mater, too.
And to get the chance to bring that back to home, I think that has to be something special too.
That was a strong case for Team of the Year also. What about biggest surprise? This is a fun one. This one can go very very vague in a lot of different ways. What is your biggest surprise from the Cenla sports year?
I think the biggest surprise for me this year is seeing Pitkin win the girls' championship. I thought that they were maybe a year away. I thought that they would get there this season. I thought that it was probably still going to be between Fairview and Bell City. But the way that those young girls definitely showed, and of course, a player like Charlie Lentz, Natalie Lolan, for them to also get down to not only to get down to the state championship for the first time since 1995, and to try to get there to the championship game, but also winning it there. I mean, I definitely think that has something to say in that case there. So. That's my vote right there.
What a season for Philip George and the Lady Tigers. More on them in a little bit. My biggest surprise, they might not call it a surprise, the Glenmore Baseball State Championship run. The only reason I would categorize this as a surprise, they were a 9 seed the year before. They were not some dominant team. They brought everybody back, but there was, some questions. And they respond with a 23-6 year winning district championship and, of course, winning their first ever state championship led by Gary Ashworth, close friend of Easter Bunny and Santa Claus in the Dollar Store parking lot. That joke will never go away. Young team. They have great players like Braden Holloway, Wyatt Gillespie, Robbins, Eves. They had no runs allowed until the end of the championship game against Pitkin. That was a very, very good Class B also with Pitkin and Hicks and family community, but it was Glenmore, the last one standing, holding up the trophy.
I saw them in that second game against Grace Christian, and they definitely really impressed me there because both of those two teams were even. I heard a lot of people tell me that they were looking forward to a third matchup. Unfortunately, we didn't get that third matchup there. But Glenmore definitely was a team to beat, and for them to do it for the first time, and it's crazy that this is only their first time doing it with a team with such baseball tradition and everything. But for them to also get that first championship there, tip my cap off to them.
What a season. Let's do Game of the Year for girls. What was your best girls sporting event you saw during the school year?
Oh, man. Probably one of the best ones that I got a chance to see. I wasn't there for it, but hearing about it probably had to be the Fairview versus Pitkin round 3 at the state
that is mine too. Just no spoilers there.
So I had to go ahead and say that one. Probably for one that I was there for though. Menard against Rose Pond. I definitely have to say that one too.
A lot of good action, Ham, in that Pitkin Fairview girls game that you just mentioned. 80-79 win in overtime for the Lady Tigers that eventually led to their state championship win. Charlie Lentz had 17 points and fouled out. Jocelyn Johnson, one of her first games after an ACL tear, scored 15 points. AJ Williams for Fairview had 33 points. And then, of course, Abby and Natalie Nolan. It was Abby who had the tying shot to send that to overtime. And losing to Fairview twice in the regular season, they beat him the third time in Hammond in a game that I think we'll remember for a long, long time.
Yeah, I kind of cheated on that one a little bit there. But, hey, basketball definitely was pretty good. I also will give you another one, though, too. Gina and Pineville, that regular season softball game, that was another good one, too.
Let's take a quick break. We're to come back here. Got more superlatives right here on Sportsnet after the break. Coming back here on Sports Night, continuing our Cenla Superlatives with Cenla Preps, Lamar Gafford. We just did Game of the Year girls. Let's do Game of the Year boys from the school year in Cenla.
How could you not go with the Class C championship game between Pleasant Hill and Gibson Coleman? I think that game had high stakes. It went to overtime, and also the Avery Dunham he was just lights out. He only had 6 points in the first half, and then he explodes for 46 points throughout the whole game, 48 points throughout the whole game. And just one of the best performances of getting a chance to see. I definitely think that opened up the March Madness, the boys March Madness in the championship series. And what a game just to really open things up and kind of steal the show a little bit there.
That's what I was going to say. That was the first game of the day, and we come out, and it is just like 40-point performance from the kid on Gibson Coleman. Pleasant Hill was right there. It was back and forth the entire game. And then if Gibson Coleman comes out and wins a close one in overtime. But I remember, Don, our sports intern, and I were just sitting courtside, mesmerized of how talented the players in the court were. That was a great one. My game of the year, boys, a couple days before that, Pitkin versus Anacoco in the state quarterfinals. The 8th seed Tigers knock off the Indians in double overtime. Gavin Holt, the great baseball player, hits a buzzer-beating three-pointer to win the game in the second overtime. Anacoco's Ethan Pritchard hit 2 3-pointers to tie the game, one at the end of regulation, one at the first overtime. Landon Tinsley had a great game. J-Dub Davis playing through an injury for Pitkin was unbelievable. It was like one of those those things where in live time you knew this was an instant classic, and it just kept getting better and better until the final buzzer went off.
It's crazy. We've had so many good ones here, and especially when you get to overtime, you add the stakes into everything, and you also add the rivalries into everything as well. I mean, that just really heightens up everything. So 2 great games there to really choose for that.
Yeah, and we're excited to see what Anacoco can do next year. Speaking of next year, teams that are 1 step away. So let's not, I may have cheated this last year picking Peabody. Let's go with the rule of they could not have won a state championship yet with their current iteration of players. So a team that's 1 step away from a championship that maybe haven't won one with this group of players. Who you got?
I guess I'll go ahead and say Gina. Okay. I mean, why not? I think that they have a good chance of possibly getting the job done this season. Of course, they got to the Dome last year, and it was very, very close for them to do this against Sterlington. But Sterlington's moving up. Union Parish, they lost their coach now. And so I think it's pretty much theirs just to take here. It's probably going to be them and St. James, I feel like.
And Daniel Hatcher coming back. I mean, he could be a very early Cenla football MVP candidate for the fall of 2026. My team that's 1 step away, back to the softball diamond, the Hicks Lady Pirates. They just made their 3rd semifinal in program history. They went 20-4. They won a rare district championship, shutting out Anacoco when they played in that district championship game back in April. A super young team with players like Cortland Ducey, Katie Grace Quinn, Abby Addison, KK Hickman, Perry Fredu. I think that they know that they got really close this year. They played a good game with Quitman in the semifinals. Bring basically everybody back. I think there's a lot of excitement around that program, and Class B maybe opening up a little bit more next year. They'll have a chance to go and take a state championship in Sulphur.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I have to agree there, too. I mean, I think they're going to be in the mix. I can't also say, too, I feel like Anacoco will be in the mix. Yep. They both have young teams, and if everything breaks right, they could be battling for the Class B championships for the next couple of years. Who knows?
That's exciting. Let's look ahead to the fall a little more. Biggest storyline entering the fall football season, our 5th quarter coverage. We'll start our previews in August. The season will get underway in September. What is the #1 thing that you're looking forward to when that season comes around, Lamar?
Ash, can they finish the job? I mean, I think they got the team to do it this year, and they have a lot of guys that have been committed to D1 schools or being looked at by D1 schools. I mean, just picked up one of the guys here, Alex Fondo, just getting the chance to go to Pittsburgh now. So that is going to be something there. I think they got the team just like the team that was in 2024 that made it all the way down to against Endicott. They played very well against St. Aug in the spring game, and I think they got a chance of possibly doing it this year and giving Rapides Parish their first championship since 1960.
Took the words out of my mouth. What I wrote down here is, can Ash live up to the hype? They're going to be one of the favorites in Division I Select. They got to the championship 2 years ago, as you mentioned. 17 starters coming back. And you can look through the list how many of these guys are going to play at a Division I college, at an NAIA college. It's almost all of them. Carson Sellers, Kaysen Williams and Noble Williams, Alex Fontenot. We saw Donut. We saw him play in the spring game. He's going to be a lot of fun to cover.
Great kid.
And on the defensive side of the ball too, with Bryson Phoenix and Jaden Boyan, and even some under the radar guys. Of course, Trey Williams, but plenty of depth on that team. Also, they have a fun schedule to look forward to. And some good signs beating St. Aug in that spring game. But this team has a very high ceiling for 2026.
Most of their games are must-see games. I mean, of course, they've got to face against Bryan in week 1. That's a road game. But then in week 3, you got LCA coming down here to the Butch. You also get them facing against Neville. And then, of course, their district schedule. I mean, that's always going to prepare them to get ready for the playoffs and everything. So I can't wait to see what happens here for the Trojans.
Appreciate it as always, Lamar. Those are our Cenla Superlatives for the school calendar year. We're going to come right back here and do our ACA Athlete of the Week Rewind after this short break.